Hello, and welcome to another gentle journey on Sleepy Professor Stories. You arrive here without urgency, as if the day has slowly loosened its grip and allowed you to settle into a quieter rhythm. This is a space where curiosity moves gently, where science speaks in a soft voice, and where nothing asks you to hurry or remember. Tonight, your attention drifts outward, beyond familiar places, toward galaxies, vast gatherings of stars that move with unthinkable patience. These distant systems are not rushing anywhere. They turn slowly, glowing faintly, holding their shapes across immense stretches of time. As you listen, you are not asked to follow every idea or hold onto every detail. You can simply let the images pass by, like lights seen through a train window at night, knowing that understanding can arrive quietly or not at all. Galaxies offer a kind of comfort through their scale and calm. They have existed long before any restless thought, and they will continue long after those thoughts fade. In their slow movement, there is permission to soften. Your breathing can become steady, your shoulders can rest, and your jaw can unclench. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, and nothing you need to fully grasp. Thoughts may come and go gently, like distant waves touching a quiet shore. If it feels right, you might choose to support this quiet space by liking or subscribing, helping others find gentle science when they need rest. And if that feels like too much, that is perfectly fine as well. Sleep is welcome here at any moment. You may stay awake and listen, or you may drift without noticing when it happens. Both are enough. The universe does not mind when attention wanders, and neither do you. Let's begin. As your mind drifts outward, the vast calm of galaxies waits patiently, ready to unfold one slow, quiet idea at a time. You begin by drifting outward, away from familiar ground, carried gently by curiosity rather than effort. The universe opens not with noise or urgency, but with a quiet presence that feels vast and calm. In this wide view, galaxies appear like distant islands of light, scattered across a dark and peaceful sea. They are not sharp or demanding shapes. They glow softly, as if seen through a thin veil, inviting your attention without pulling at it. As you rest with this image, scale begins to change the way your thoughts move. Each galaxy contains countless stars, yet from here they blend into a single, gentle shimmer. This distance softens everything. The mind does not need to sort or label. It can simply notice light against darkness, balance against emptiness, and the way stillness seems to stretch in every direction. Galaxies are not floating aimlessly. They are held together by quiet forces, moving with extraordinary patience. Their motion is so slow that it feels almost like stillness. Over immense spans of time, they turn and drift, maintaining their shapes without hurry. When you imagine this, your own sense of time can loosen. Seconds and minutes stop feeling important. Breathing becomes easier when nothing is expected to change quickly. Light from these distant systems travels for ages before reaching anywhere at all. By the time it arrives, it carries the calm of its long journey. That light has crossed open space without resistance, without struggle, simply moving as it always has. You can let your thoughts move in the same way now, unforced and unplanned, arriving wherever they arrive. From this perspective, the universe feels less like a collection of objects and more like a quiet environment. Galaxies become part of a larger rhythm, spaced gently apart, each one keeping to its own slow path. And there is no crowding here, no pressure to compete for attention. Everything has room. That sense of space can settle into your body, easing tight places you may not have noticed before. As you listen, there is nothing you need to hold on to. If an image fades, it fades. If a thought wanders, it wanders. The science behind these distant lights does not demand understanding right now. It exists whether you follow it closely or let it blur into background comfort. Your only task is to rest where you are, supported by the steadiness of the universe itself. Galaxies remind us that complexity can be quiet. Each one contains layers of structure and motion, yet from afar, all that detail blends into calm light. In the same way, your own thoughts and feelings can soften when seen from a gentle distance. You do not need to examine them closely, but you can allow them to become part of a larger, quieter picture. There is a subtle order to how galaxies are arranged across space. They are not evenly spread, yet they are not chaotic. They gather in loose patterns, leaving wide, dark spaces between them. This balance between presence and emptiness gives the universe its peaceful feeling. Darkness here is not threatening. It is simply space, allowing light to exist without strain. As your awareness floats among these distant glows, your breathing may naturally slow. Each inhale arrives easily, each exhale leaves without effort. The body understands calm when it encounters it. Muscles begin to rest, and the face softens. You are not copying the universe. You are responding to it in the way living things often do. These galaxies have existed for unimaginably long stretches of time. They have seen changes come and go without interruption. Stars are born and fade within them, yet the larger structure remains. This quiet endurance carries a sense of reassurance. Whatever feels temporary in your own life can be placed gently against this wider backdrop, where change is slow and never rushed. From this distance, even movement feels peaceful. When galaxies drift closer or farther apart, it happens over spans of time so long that urgency disappears. Nothing collides suddenly. Nothing demands immediate reaction. The universe unfolds at a pace that invites rest rather than alertness. If your thoughts begin to blur or overlap, that is perfectly fine. The mind often relaxes by releasing clarity. You are allowed to half listen, to drift, to let words become sound rather than meaning. The science continues quietly beneath the surface, steady and reliable, whether you notice it fully or not. You may imagine yourself floating gently among these distant lights, not as a body traveling through space, but as awareness resting within it. There is no direction you need to face, no destination you need to reach. The universe does not require your participation. It simply continues, offering its calm presence freely. As this wide view settles in, the sense of scale can feel comforting rather than overwhelming. Problems and plans shrink naturally when placed beside something so vast and patient. This is not because they are unimportant, but because they are allowed to rest for now. There will be time for them later, if needed. The quiet sea of starlight stretches endlessly, yet it feels contained, as if held gently by its own order. Light moves through darkness without resistance. Space allows everything to exist without friction. You can let your thoughts move the same way, passing through awareness without sticking or lingering. Nothing here rushes. Nothing asks for your attention sharply. The universe remains steady whether you are awake or drifting toward sleep. You can trust that steadiness. You can let your body sink deeper into rest, supported by the knowledge that these distant galaxies have been turning calmly long before this moment and will continue long after it passes. Rifts naturally toward understanding what these quiet islands of light truly are and how they hold themselves together in the dark. You move closer now, not by traveling, but by letting the idea come into focus. After the wide, quiet view, a galaxy begins to feel less like a distant glow and more like a gentle gathering. It is not a single thing, but a slow companionship of many parts held together without effort. In this calm understanding, a galaxy becomes a kind of home for stars, drifting together through space in long familiarity. At its heart, a galaxy is a natural family. Stars live within it the way lights fill a quiet city at night, each shining in its own place, yet belonging to something larger. Between those stars, soft clouds of gas and fine dust float patiently, neither empty nor crowded. These materials are not rushing anywhere. They wait, responding only to time and gentle forces that have always been there. You can imagine a galaxy as a vast neighborhood, where distance is normal and silence is common. Stars are separated by enormous spaces, yet they remain connected through shared motion. Nothing pulls sharply, nothing pushes suddenly. Everything moves together, guided by gravity, a quiet influence that asks nothing more than presence. This gravity does not feel heavy here. It is subtle, steady, and reliable. It allows stars to remain in long orbits, tracing paths that take millions of years to complete. From within that slow movement, stability emerges. A galaxy holds its shape, not because it resists change, but because change unfolds patiently. As you rest with this idea, definitions soften. A galaxy does not need a strict description to exist. It simply is a region where stars, gas, and dust have found a shared rhythm. They circle a common center, not as individuals competing for space, but as parts of a balanced whole. This balance is not perfect or rigid. It breathes slowly over time. Some stars within a galaxy are older, glowing steadily after long lives. Others are younger, forming quietly within dense clouds where gas gathers and cools. Dust grains drift nearby, catching light and shadow, shaping the soft glow you see from far away. All of this happens without urgency, guided by conditions rather than commands. When you think of galaxies this way, complexity becomes calm. Many processes occur at once, yet none of them hurry. Star formation takes place over ages. Motion unfolds across spans so long they barely feel like movement at all. Even change feels gentle when it stretches across so much time. There is nothing chaotic about this gathering. Though galaxies may appear different from one another, their inner logic is simple. Gravity gathers matter. Motion distributes it. And time allows patterns to settle. These ideas do not need equations tonight. They can exist as feelings of steadiness and slow order. Within a galaxy, space itself plays a role. The vast distances between stars allow light to travel freely, unblocked and unforced. Darkness is not absence here, but room. It gives the galaxy its depth, its quiet sense of openness. You can imagine that space as a kind of pause between notes in a slow piece of music. As you listen, you are not expected to remember these details. Understanding can be loose and incomplete. The mind can drift in and out, gathering impressions rather than facts. A galaxy does not mind being understood only partially. It continues regardless, calm and unbothered. You may notice your breathing aligning with this idea of shared rhythm. Inhale, exhale, both arriving naturally. There is nothing you need to do to keep the galaxy together, just as there is nothing you need to do to keep your breath moving. Both happen quietly on their own. Galaxies also carry a sense of belonging. Stars within them are not isolated wanderers. They travel together through space, sharing motion even when separated by great distance. This shared journey gives a galaxy its identity. It is less a structure and more a long-lasting relationship between many parts. Over time, galaxies evolve gently. Their shapes shift, their contents change, yet their core nature remains familiar. They are places where matter has gathered and stayed. This persistence offers reassurance. Even in a universe filled with motion, there are patterns that endure. From this closer view, a galaxy feels less distant and more relatable. It becomes a system built on patience, cooperation, and time. Nothing inside it rushes toward an end. Everything unfolds gradually, allowing rest to exist alongside activity. If your thoughts wander here, that is natural. The mind often relaxes when it encounters ideas that move slowly. You can let images blur, letting the feeling of a galaxy remain even if the details fade. The science is still present, steady beneath the surface, whether you follow it clearly or not. As the idea settles, a galaxy begins to feel like a quiet container for light. Stars shine within it, not competing, but contributing to a shared glow. Gas and dust shape that light softly, creating depth and texture. Gravity holds it all together without strain. You may imagine yourself resting within this concept, held by a structure that does not press or demand. Just as a galaxy supports its stars, the night supports your rest. There is nothing you need to achieve here. Simply being present is enough. Galaxies remind us that belonging does not require closeness. Distance and connection can coexist. Stars remain part of a whole, even when far apart. This idea can feel comforting, especially as the body settles deeper into stillness. As your awareness continues to drift, the question of structure gives way to curiosity about form. If galaxies are families held together by gentle forces, they also take on different shapes, each shaped by its own long history, waiting quietly to be explored next. And as this understanding rests softly in your mind, you may begin to wonder how these patient families of stars arrange themselves into graceful forms that turn slowly through the dark. You continue drifting, and the shape of a galaxy slowly reveals itself. Not all galaxies remain as distant glows. Some unfold into gentle spirals, their arms curving outward like slow waves caught in motion. From this quiet perspective, the movement feels fluid and calm, as though the entire structure is turning beneath still water. Spiral galaxies rotate, but not in any way that feels hurried. Their motion stretches across vast spans of time, so slow that it almost disappears. Stars follow wide paths around a shared center, tracing arcs that take millions of years to complete. When you imagine this turning, your own sense of pace begins to soften, aligning with something far less urgent than everyday time. The arms of a spiral galaxy are not solid structures. They are regions where stars, gas, and dust gather more densely as everything moves together. These arms form gentle patterns shaped by motion and gravity working quietly over ages. Nothing snaps into place. Everything eases into form. As the galaxy turns, its arms appear to flow outward, though they remain part of the same slow rotation. This illusion of movement gives spiral galaxies their graceful appearance. It is like watching a slow current in a river, where water seems to curve and drift, even though each drop follows its own calm path. Within these arms, stars are often closer together, creating brighter bands of light. Between them, darker spaces stretch softly, filled with thin gas and quiet distance. This contrast gives spiral galaxies their depth, a balance of glow and shadow that feels soothing rather than sharp. The center of a spiral galaxy holds its own calm presence. Everything turns around it, guided by gravity that remains steady and unseen. This central influence does not pull harshly. It simply holds, allowing the spiral to exist as a long-lasting pattern. Stability here comes not from stillness, but from balanced motion. You can imagine the entire galaxy as a slow, breathing form. Each rotation is like a single, extended breath, so long it cannot be felt in one lifetime. That rhythm can feel reassuring. It suggests that movement does not have to mean urgency, and change does not have to disturb rest. Spiral arms are shaped by waves of density moving through the galaxy. As stars and gas pass through these regions, they gather briefly, then continue onward. This process creates the appearance of arms without requiring anything to stay fixed. The structure remains even as its contents gently shift. This idea of form without rigidity can be comforting. A spiral galaxy keeps its shape while allowing freedom within it. Stars move, gas drifts, dust settles and lifts again, all without breaking the pattern. It is a reminder that order and flexibility can exist together. As you rest with this image, your thoughts may begin to move more slowly, mirroring the galaxy's pace. There is no need to follow every detail. The feeling of rotation is enough. Like watching something turn gently in water, your attention can soften and blur. Spiral galaxies often appear flat, like wide disks, with arms spreading across a single plane. This shape allows motion to remain smooth and predictable. Nothing collides suddenly. Paths remain clear, and each star keeps its distance while still belonging to the whole. Light from these spirals travels quietly outward, carrying the story of their motion across space. By the time it reaches anywhere at all, it has already been shaped by long, calm journeys. That light feels steady, as though it has learned patience along the way. You might notice your breathing settling into an easy rhythm now. Inhale, exhale, both arriving naturally. There is nothing you need to do to maintain this calm. Just as the galaxy turns without effort from you, your body knows how to rest on its own. Within spiral arms, new stars can form where gas gathers more densely. This creation is not sudden or dramatic. It unfolds slowly as gas cools and settles over time. Even beginnings here feel quiet, are wrapped in patience rather than excitement. Between the arms, older stars often travel in calmer paths, their light softer and more evenly spread. These regions feel settled, like places where time has already done its work. Together, arms and spaces create a gentle contrast, adding to the galaxy's soothing rhythm. As your awareness drifts through these rotating forms, the sense of direction fades. There is no front or back, no start or finish. The spiral simply continues, turning endlessly, offering the same calm view from every angle. If your thoughts begin to wander away from the imagery, that is perfectly fine. The mind often relaxes by letting go of focus. You can allow the words to become a soft background, like distant water moving without drawing attention. There is nothing you need to remember here. The science does not ask to be held tightly. It exists quietly, like the galaxy itself, steady whether noticed or not. You are free to rest inside the feeling of motion without tracking its details. At this point, you may gently remind yourself that there is nothing else required of you. Your body can sink a little deeper. Your face can soften. The slow turning of spiral arms continues, whether you listen closely or drift toward sleep. These galaxies have been rotating for ages beyond counting. They will continue long after this moment passes. That endurance carries a quiet comfort, suggesting that rest is always supported by something larger and more patient than thought. As the spiral turns, it invites curiosity without demand. You might begin to wonder how such graceful motion arises, and how different galaxies take on different shapes, each guided by its own long history. And as the slow rotation continues to soothe your thoughts, your curiosity drifts gently toward the quieter forms that emerge when motion softens even further, waiting calmly in the dark. You drift onward, and the universe subtly changes its posture. The graceful curves of spirals slowly soften, giving way to shapes that feel rounder, quieter, and more settled. Elliptical galaxies do not announce themselves with sweeping arms or visible motion. They rest in space like ancient stones, smoothed by time, carrying a sense of calm that feels immediate and deep. These galaxies appear as gentle ovals of light, their edges fading softly into the surrounding dark. There is no sharp boundary where they end. Instead, their glow thins gradually, as if they are exhaling into space. This softness invites your attention to relax. Nothing here pulls the eye quickly. Everything encourages slow looking, or no looking at all. Elliptical galaxies are often very old. Most of their stars formed long ago and now shine steadily without the busy activity found elsewhere. The light they produce feels even and quiet, like a room lit by lamps that have been glowing all night. There are few sudden changes, few interruptions. Time here has already done much of its work. Unlike spirals, these galaxies show little sign of rotation that can be easily felt. Their stars move in many directions, tracing paths that overlap gently rather than following a single flowing pattern. This creates a sense of stillness, even though motion continues beneath the surface. It is the kind of stillness that comes from balance, not from stopping. As you rest with this idea, your own body may recognize the feeling. Muscles soften not because they are forced to relax, but because there is no longer a reason to hold tension. Elliptical galaxies exist in this same way. They are not striving to become something else. They have settled into what they are. These giants of stillness can be immense, containing vast numbers of stars packed closer together than in many other galaxies. Yet even with this density, there is no sense of crowding. The scale is so large that space remains abundant. Distance still exists between stars, allowing light to move freely and calmly. Their rounded shapes come from long histories of interaction and change. Over time, galaxies can merge and blend, and their original forms smoothing into something more uniform. This process is slow and gentle on cosmic scales. Nothing happens suddenly. Shapes evolve over ages, like pebbles worn smooth by water. Inside elliptical galaxies, there is often little gas left to form new stars. Most of it has already been used or spread thin. This absence creates quiet. Starbirth slows, and the galaxy settles into a long, steady glow. It is not empty. it is complete, carrying the fullness of what has already unfolded. You can imagine these galaxies as places where activity has softened into rest. The intense chapters of their histories are not gone, but they no longer dominate the present moment. What remains is a calm persistence, a steady presence that continues without needing renewal. As you listen, there is nothing you need to understand fully. You are not being asked to remember details or track processes. The feeling of age and stillness is enough. Like sitting near something old and solid, your own pace naturally slows in response. Elliptical galaxies often sit quietly in groups, surrounded by smaller companions. They do not reach out or pull attention. They simply remain, luminous and calm, shaping their surroundings through quiet gravity. This influence is subtle, felt over time rather than noticed immediately. Gravity here continues its work without drama. It keeps stars bound in gentle orbits, even if those paths are complex. The galaxy holds itself together through balance, not force. This balance can feel reassuring, suggesting that stability does not require effort. Light within these galaxies carries a softness shaped by age. Older stars tend to glow more gently, their colors blending into a warm, even presence. From far away, this creates a smooth, comforting brightness that does not flicker or surprise. If your thoughts begin to drift now, that is perfectly natural. Stillness often invites the mind to wander quietly. You can let the words pass by like distant echoes, knowing that the calm they describe remains whether you follow closely or not. There is nothing you need to do to stay present. Elliptical galaxies do not demand observation. They exist patiently, content to be noticed or ignored. In the same way, your rest does not require attention. It unfolds on its own. These galaxies remind us that change does not always mean movement. Sometimes change means settling. After long periods of motion and interaction, things can arrive at a state that feels complete. This completion is not an ending, but a continuation without urgency. As your breathing remains slow and easy, you may notice how well this idea fits the moment. In rest, the body does not stop functioning. It simply shifts into a quieter mode, much like these galaxies that continue to exist without visible excitement. Elliptical galaxies will continue glowing for ages, their stars gradually aging together. There is no rush toward disappearance. Time stretches gently here, allowing everything to unfold at its own pace. You can imagine floating near one of these vast, rounded forms, not approaching or leaving, just resting within its presence. There is no direction to follow, no path to trace. The galaxy offers its calm simply by being what it is. As this sense of stillness settles deeper, curiosity begins to soften as well. The universe feels less like something to explore and more like something to rest within. And yet, beyond this quiet completeness, other forms exist, shaped by different histories, waiting gently for attention. And as the deep calm of these ancient giants lingers, your awareness drifts toward the quieter variations that emerge when order loosens and shapes become less predictable, resting patiently in space. You drift a little farther now, and the universe loosens its shapes. After the round stillness of older forms, you begin to notice galaxies that do not follow a single pattern. Their light stretches unevenly, their outlines feel incomplete, and yet nothing about them feels wrong. These irregular galaxies rest in space without symmetry, without apology, and without urgency. They do not curve into neat spirals or settle into smooth ovals. Instead, their stars scatter in gentle unpredictability, forming shapes that seem paused mid-thought. Gas and dust drift unevenly, sometimes glowing brightly in one region, fading softly in another. This lack of order feels surprisingly peaceful, like clouds that never quite decide what they want to become. Irregular galaxies often form through long histories of quiet interaction. Some have passed near larger neighbors, their shapes slowly pulled and reshaped over time. Others remain small and light, never gathering enough mass to organize themselves into tidy forms. Nothing about this process is sudden. Change arrives gradually, stretched across ages that soften every edge. As you sit with this idea, the comfort becomes clearer. The universe allows variation. It does not insist that everything become balanced or complete. Irregular galaxies exist naturally, supported by the same gentle forces as every other structure. They are not mistakes. They are outcomes shaped patiently by circumstance and time. Stars within these galaxies still follow gravity's quiet guidance. Even when paths seem scattered, motion remains calm. Each star moves according to its surroundings, responding to influences without resistance. Together, they create a loose harmony that does not require symmetry to feel whole. Gas plays a larger role here, drifting in soft, uneven clouds. In some places, it gathers more densely, allowing new stars to form slowly and quietly. In others, it thins out, leaving wide, dark spaces that feel open and restful. Creation and absence coexist without conflict. You may notice how this mirrors the way thoughts drift when you are close to sleep. Not every idea completes itself. Not every image resolves. Some thoughts appear briefly, then dissolve, leaving space behind. This irregularity is not a problem. It is part of resting. Irregular galaxies often glow with a softer, uneven light. Bright patches appear where stars gather, while other regions fade gently into darkness. The contrast is subtle, never sharp. It feels like looking at a shoreline at night, where reflections shift quietly with the water. There is a sense of freedom in these shapes. Without rigid structure, nothing feels constrained. Stars move where gravity allows. Gas flows where conditions invite it. Time continues its slow work, smoothing and reshaping without direction or goal. If your attention drifts in and out now, that is perfectly natural. The universe here does not demand focus. You are free to listen loosely, letting meaning blur into tone. The science remains present, steady beneath the surface, even as awareness softens. Irregular galaxies remind us that calm does not depend on order. Peace can exist alongside unpredictability. The universe does not rush to correct these shapes. It lets them be just as they are for long stretches of time. Some of these galaxies remain companions to larger ones, quietly orbiting at a distance. Others wander more independently, shaped mainly by their own gentle motions. In both cases, their existence feels unhurried. Nothing pushes them toward completion. As you imagine these drifting forms, your breathing may continue to slow. There is nothing you need to do to maintain this rhythm. Like the galaxies themselves, your body knows how to settle without instruction. The uneven shapes also tell stories of long interaction rather than sudden disruption. When galaxies influence one another, it happens slowly through subtle gravitational pull. Over time, stars shift, gas stretches, and shapes loosen. Even disruption here unfolds gently. You can let this understanding rest lightly. There is no need to picture exact paths or remember details. The feeling of natural variation is enough. The universe allows many ways of being. Irregular galaxies often feel smaller and closer, less distant and imposing. Their scale invites familiarity rather than awe. They seem approachable, like quiet companions rather than grand monuments. This softness can be comforting. Not everything vast needs to feel overwhelming. Some parts of the universe remain humble, content with loose structure and quiet persistence. As the mind relaxes further, you may find that irregularity feels increasingly soothing. Without expectation of pattern, there is nothing to follow, nothing to track. You can simply rest inside the gentle unevenness. Stars continue shining here, gas continues drifting, and time continues passing, all without concern for form. The galaxy exists fully, even without symmetry. That completeness does not rely on balance, only on continuation. If thoughts appear and fade, let them do so. Like these galaxies, your inner landscape does not need to organize itself to be calm. Presence is enough. The quiet reassurance settles deeper now. There is nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to straighten. The universe itself offers examples of peaceful imperfection, glowing softly in the dark. As awareness floats among these uneven lights, curiosity begins to shift again. Beyond these relaxed forms lie structures shaped by deeper centers and stronger pulls, quietly guiding motion from within. And as the gentle irregularity fades into comfort, your attention drifts towards the hidden forces at the heart of galaxies, patiently holding everything together without ever being seen. You drift inward now, not by moving through space, but by noticing what has always surrounded you. After wandering among distant forms, your attention gently settles into the galaxy that already holds you. The Milky Way does not announce itself. It simply exists as a quiet presence, wide and protective, carrying you along without asking to be noticed. This galaxy is not a place you arrive at. It is a place you are already within. Its stars form a broad, faint band across the night sky, soft and scattered, like light seen through a thin veil. From here, the Milky Way feels less like an object and more like an environment, a vast interior where motion happens slowly and predictably. You live inside one of its spiral arms, far from the center, in a region where stars are spread out and space feels open. Nothing crowds you here. Distances are generous. Light travels calmly, and gravity holds everything with patience rather than force. This gentle balance gives the Milky Way its sense of quiet stability. As you rest with this idea, familiarity begins to replace scale. This galaxy has been your home for your entire existence, moving with you through the universe without interruption. And it rotates slowly, carrying stars, planets, and dust along in wide arcs that take ages to complete. You do not feel this motion because it is so smooth and steady. The Milky Way contains hundreds of billions of stars, yet from within, it feels calm rather than overwhelming. Most of its volume is empty space, allowing light and matter to move freely. Darkness here is not absence, but room. It gives everything else space to exist without pressure. Gas and dust drift gently through the galaxy, forming thin clouds that stretch across long distances. In some places, these clouds grow denser, slowly cooling and gathering. Over time, new stars can form within them, quietly and without urgency. Even creation here feels like rest unfolding rather than action beginning. The galaxy's spiral shape guides this motion softly. Its arms, are not rigid structures, but flowing regions where stars and gas move together in loose harmony. From your place within one of these arms, the Milky Way feels like a slow river of light, carrying everything along at a pace too gentle to notice. At the center of the galaxy lies a region of stronger gravity, anchoring the wide rotation of the whole. Everything turns around this unseen heart, not pulled sharply inward, but guided steadily, like leaves circling slowly in deep water. This central presence gives the galaxy coherence without disturbance. You may notice how reassuring this feels. There is comfort in being held by something vast and reliable. The Milky Way does not require attention to function. It does not depend on awareness. It continues calmly and consistently, whether you think about it or not. As you breathe, your body mirrors this ease. Inhale and exhale arrive naturally, without instruction. There is nothing you need to do to remain part of this galaxy. Belonging is automatic. You are already included. Stars in the Milky Way vary widely in age and brightness. Some shine steadily after long lives. Others are younger, glowing more brightly as they settle into existence. Together, they create a soft, uneven glow that fills the galaxy without glare. From within, this light feels gentle rather than intense. Dust grains drift between stars, catching and scattering light. They soften the galaxy's appearance, creating faint, dark lanes and glowing patches. These features add texture to the Milky Way, giving it depth and quiet complexity. Nothing here feels sharp or demanding. The galaxy also carries memory. Its structure reflects billions of years of motion, interaction, and gradual change. Yet these changes happen so slowly that the present moment always feels calm. You are never rushed by galactic time. You are allowed to rest inside it. If your thoughts begin to wander now, that is perfectly fine. The Milky Way does not require focus. You can listen loosely, letting images form and fade. Understanding can come softly or not at all. Either way, the galaxy remains steady around you. There is a sense of protection in this idea. The Milky Way acts as a vast container, holding stars and systems together as they move through the wider universe. You are not exposed or drifting alone. You are carried within a structure shaped by patience. As awareness settles deeper, you may feel how natural it is to belong without effort. Just as stars follow their paths without deciding to, you remain part of this galaxy simply by existing. There is no test to pass, no role to perform. The Milky Way moves through space alongside countless other galaxies, yet this journey does not disturb its inner calm. Its motion is smooth, guided by gravity and time. Even travel here feels restful. From within, the galaxy feels endless, yet intimate. Wherever you are, the Milky Way surrounds you, extending far beyond sight in every direction. This quiet embrace can feel comforting, especially as the body relaxes further. You might imagine the galaxy as a softly lit room that never sleeps, always present, always holding. Its walls are distant stars, its floor and ceiling layers of drifting light. Inside, everything moves slowly, and nothing asks for attention. There is nothing you need to understand fully about this place. You do not need to picture exact paths or structures. The feeling of being held is enough. The science supports that feeling quietly, explaining how gravity, motion, and time create this stable home. As the mind settles, the Milky Way becomes less a concept and more a background presence, like the steady sound of wind or distant water. You may not notice it constantly, but it is always there, This galaxy has carried life for a long time, allowing conditions to remain gentle enough for complexity to arise. It does so without intention or awareness, simply through balance and patience. That patience extends to you now. Your body can rest here. Your thoughts can soften. There is nowhere else you need to be. The Milky Way continues its slow turning, offering the same calm whether you are awake or drifting towards sleep. As this sense of home deepens, curiosity begins to shift again, turning gently toward the forces that guide all of this motion from within, quietly shaping paths without ever needing to be seen. And as you rest inside this vast, familiar home, your attention drifts naturally toward the unseen center that guides its movement, holding everything together in quiet balance. You drift closer still toward the quiet heart of a galaxy, where motion gathers without noise and balance holds without effort. A galactic center is not a place of chaos, even though it carries great influence. It is a region where paths gently curve, where countless stars move in long, patient loops, guided by gravity that never raises its voice. From a distance, the center of a galaxy may seem bright or dense, but as you rest with the idea, it feels calm rather than intense. Stars travel here in steady patterns, each one responding to the same invisible pull. Nothing jerks or collides suddenly. Motion remains smooth, as if softened by time itself. Gravity at a galactic center does not feel heavy in the way the word sometimes suggests. It is quiet and constant, shaping movement rather than forcing it. It allows stars to remain connected across vast distances, keeping the galaxy from drifting apart. This gentle holding is what gives the entire structure its lasting stability. As you imagine these slow orbits, your own body may respond. Muscles ease, not because they are told to relax, but because there is no longer a reason to hold tension. The universe here demonstrates how strength can exist without strain, how influence can be calm. Near the center, stars are often closer together, yet there is still ample space. Light weaves softly through these regions, reflecting long histories of motion. The glow feels layered and deep, like looking into water that has never been stirred abruptly. At the very core of many galaxies lies a compact region of intense gravity, anchoring the slow rotation of everything around it. This presence does not disrupt the calm. It provides focus, a shared reference point that allows stars to follow predictable paths over immense spans of time. You are not required to picture exact structures here. The feeling of balance is enough. Gravity works quietly, asking nothing from you. It has been guiding motion long before any awareness, and it will continue without interruption. The idea of a center can feel comforting. It suggests that even in something vast, there is coherence. Everything does not float aimlessly. Paths curve gently toward meaning, even if that meaning is simply continued motion. As you rest with this thought, your breathing may settle into a slower rhythm. Inhale and exhale arrive without effort. There is nothing you need to do to stay aligned. Like stars in orbit, your body knows how to follow its own quiet balance. Galactic centers often hold older stars, ones that have traveled these paths for a very long time. Their light carries steadiness rather than brightness. It does not flicker or surprise. It simply remains, offering a consistent glow that feels grounding. Gas and dust also move through these inner regions, though more subtly. They drift, respond, and reshape over time, contributing to the slow evolution of the galaxy. Even change here feels unhurried, unfolding across ages rather than moments. The presence of strong gravity does not mean danger or disturbance. In the universe, gravity is what allows structure to exist at all. Without it, stars would wander alone and galaxies would dissolve. Here, gravity acts like a quiet agreement, holding everything together without demand. You may notice how this mirrors your own experience of rest. When support is steady, there is no need for effort. The body can release into stillness, trusting what holds it. Paths near the galactic center are complex, yet orderly. Stars move in many directions, their orbits overlapping gently without interference. This complexity does not create noise. It creates resilience, allowing the system to remain stable even as individual paths vary. If your thoughts drift now, let them. Gravity does not require observation. The galaxy continues whether it is noticed or not. You can allow your attention to soften, knowing that understanding is not a requirement for calm. There is a quiet confidence in this part of the universe. Nothing rushes to change. Nothing resists what is. Motion and stillness exist together, balanced in a way that feels deeply restful. You might imagine yourself near this center, not pulled inward, not pushed away, simply held at a comfortable distance. There is no urgency to move closer or farther. The galaxy allows every part its place. This balance extends outward, shaping the paths of stars far from the core. The influence of the center reaches gently, guiding motion without overwhelming it. Even at great distances, stars respond calmly, maintaining the galaxy's overall harmony. As awareness continues to settle, the idea of gravity becomes less abstract and more felt. It is the quiet reason things remain connected. It does not announce itself, yet it is always present. There is nothing you need to do with this understanding. You do not need to hold it tightly. Like gravity itself, it can exist in the background, supporting rest without drawing attention. The galaxy's center does not dominate its surroundings. It cooperates with them. Motion arises from relationship rather than command. This cooperation allows the galaxy to endure for ages. Your body understands this kind of balance. When support is steady, effort becomes unnecessary. You can allow yourself to sink slightly deeper, trusting what holds you. Even powerful forces, when spread across vast distances and long times, become gentle. The universe demonstrates this repeatedly. Strength and calm are not opposites. They often arrive together. As you linger with this thought, curiosity begins to soften again. Beyond gravity's quiet guidance lie the slow processes it enables, the patient beginnings that unfold where matter gathers and waits. And as the steady pull of gravity continues its silent work, your attention drifts gently toward the places where stars are born slowly and quietly, gathering light over time. You drift now into places where light has not yet fully formed, where the universe is quiet in a different way. Here, stars are not shining yet. They are waiting. Star birth does not begin with a flash or a sudden moment. It begins slowly, lie inside vast clouds that rest in the dark, patient and unhurried. These clouds are made of gas and dust spread so thin that they barely feel like substance at all. They drift through galaxies like slow breath, stretching across enormous distances. Within them, nothing rushes. Everything waits for conditions to align gently, without command or schedule. Over time, Small regions within these clouds grow slightly denser than their surroundings. Gravity begins its quiet work again, drawing material inward with steady calm. There is no collapse that can be felt as motion. It happens gradually, as if the cloud is slowly deciding to gather itself. As the gas drifts closer together, it cools and thickens, becoming less transparent. Dust grains mingle softly, shaping the cloud's interior. Light from nearby stars fades as it passes through, leaving the inside dim and protected. This darkness is not empty. It is a shelter where change can unfold slowly. You can imagine this process like deepening rest. Nothing forces it. It arrives naturally when conditions allow. The cloud does not hurry to become something else. It simply responds to gravity and time, easing into a new state. Within these denser regions, motion remains gentle. Gas moves inward at a pace so slow it feels almost still. Heat builds quietly as particles draw closer, warming the center without disturbance. There is no sound here, no signal of arrival, just gradual transformation. As pressure increases, the core of the gathering cloud becomes more defined. It remains hidden from view, wrapped in layers of gas and dust. From the outside, nothing dramatic appears to be happening. Yet inside, a future star is forming patiently, step by step. This stage can last a very long time. The cloud does not rush toward light. It lingers in darkness, allowing balance to develop. Gravity pulls inward. Heat pushes outward. These forces meet gently, shaping stability rather than conflict. You may notice how soothing this idea feels. Creation here is quiet and careful. Nothing bursts into existence. Nothing demands attention. The universe allows beginnings to arrive softly. Eventually, the center grows warm enough for light to begin its long journey outward. Even then, the surrounding cloud holds that light close, preventing it from escaping too quickly. The forming star remains wrapped in its birthplace, glowing quietly within. As material continues to settle, a disk of gas and dust can form around the young star, turning slowly. This motion is smooth and patient, guided by gravity rather than speed. Everything here feels deliberate without intention, calm without effort. The star's light strengthens gradually. It does not flare or shock its surroundings. Instead, it warms the nearby gas gently, shaping the cloud from within. Over time, the surrounding material thins, drifting away at a pace too slow to notice. When the star finally becomes visible, it has already existed quietly for a long time. Its arrival is not a beginning so much as a continuation. The light that reaches outward has been prepared carefully, shaped by long patience. Stars are born in many places across a galaxy, often in groups within the same cloud. Even then, their formation remains quiet. Each star gathers itself independently, responding to its own balance of gravity and heat. You might imagine these regions as nurseries of silence, where countless stars begin their lives without announcement. The galaxy does not pause to observe. It continues its slow rotation, carrying these quiet beginnings along. As you rest with this image, your own breathing may deepen. There is nothing you need to do to follow this process. Understanding is not required. The feeling of slow emergence is enough. Starbirth reminds us that growth does not need noise. Important changes can happen beneath the surface, unnoticed and uninterrupted. The universe trusts time to do its work. Once a star settles into balance, it can shine steadily for a very long time. This steady light is the result of patience, not urgency. The star does not rush through its life. It glows quietly, contributing to the calm structure of the galaxy. Around these newborn stars, leftover gas and dust may remain, drifting softly. Over time, this material can thin out, becoming part of the wider galaxy again. Nothing is wasted. Everything continues its slow cycle. You can allow your thoughts to move the same way now. There is no need to hold on to each idea. You can let them form, glow briefly, and fade back into quiet space. The science behind star formation does not demand focus tonight. It exists gently, supporting the sense of calm rather than challenging it. Gravity, heat, and time work together without conflict. In this part of the universe, silence is productive. Darkness is supportive. Waiting is not empty. It is full of possibility unfolding at its own pace. If your awareness drifts, let it drift. The process continues regardless. Stars are forming quietly, even now, without being watched or named. You may feel comfort in knowing that the light you see across the galaxy began this way, slowly and carefully. Every steady glow has a history of patience behind it. As the mind softens further, the idea of beginnings becomes less exciting and more reassuring. New things can arrive gently. Change does not need urgency to be meaningful. The galaxy carries these quiet births without disturbance. Its overall calm is not broken by creation. Instead, creation blends seamlessly into its slow rhythm. There is nothing you need to remember from this. The feeling of gradual becoming is enough to rest with. Like breathing deepening as sleep approaches, star birth unfolds naturally when conditions allow. As this sense of quiet creation settles, curiosity begins to turn gently toward the light that travels outward from these stars, carrying their calm presence across vast distances. And as these silent beginnings fade into steady light, your attention drifts toward the long journeys that light will take, moving patiently through space toward waiting darkness. You begin to notice the light itself now, not as brightness, but as a quiet traveler. Every soft glow you imagine from a distant galaxy carries a long history within it. This light does not rush. It moves patiently through space, crossing vast distances without sound, without effort, without ever needing to arrive quickly. Light begins its journey the moment a star shines, but that moment stretches far beyond anything that feels like time to you. Once released, it travels steadily, always at the same calm pace, never slowing, never speeding up. It does not tire. It does not hurry. It simply continues, moving through the dark like a whisper that never fades. As you rest with this idea, light starts to feel gentle rather than fast. Though it moves at the greatest speed the universe allows, the distances it crosses are so immense that even this speed becomes patient. Years pass, then millions of years. Still, the light keeps going, unchanged, carrying the quiet story of where it began. Much of the light you imagine tonight began its journey long before there were eyes to see it. It left stars that may no longer exist in the same way, traveling outward while galaxies slowly changed around its point of origin. Yet the light remains faithful to its path, untouched by what happens behind it. When galactic light passes through space, it encounters almost nothing at all. Space offers little resistance. There is no wind to push against, no surface to slow it down. This emptiness allows light to move smoothly and endlessly, preserving the calm of its beginning. Sometimes light passes through thin clouds of gas or dust. When it does, it softens, scattering slightly, changing its color just a little. These encounters are gentle, like drifting through mist. They do not stop the light. They simply shape it, adding quiet texture to its long journey. You may imagine this light as carrying a memory, not a memory that thinks or knows, but a record of conditions at the moment it was released. Temperature, motion, composition, all encoded subtly within it. As it travels, it holds this information patiently, never losing it, never needing to announce it. By the time this ancient light reaches a distant place, it has crossed regions of space that feel timeless. Galaxies have drifted, stars have aged, yet the light arrives exactly as it began, offering a glimpse into a past that no longer exists in the same form. This idea can feel soothing. The universe allows messages to travel without urgency. Nothing insists on being seen immediately. Even important information can take ages to arrive, and the universe remains calm while it waits. As you breathe, you can let your thoughts travel in the same way. They do not need to reach conclusions quickly. They can drift, carry impressions, and arrive wherever they arrive. There is nothing you need to solve tonight. Light does not choose its destination. It spreads outward in all directions, filling space evenly. Some of it will never meet anything at all, continuing forever into the dark. Other portions will eventually touch dust, gas, or the surface of a distant world. The light does not prefer one outcome over another. It simply travels. When light from a galaxy finally reaches a place where it can be seen, it does so quietly. There is no signal announcing its arrival. It simply becomes visible, blending with other light, adding to the soft glow of the night sky. You may find comfort in knowing that what you see is always old. The universe never shows itself as it is right now, only as it was when the light began its journey. This delay removes urgency. Everything you perceive is already settled into history. The longer the journey, the softer the feeling becomes. Light that has traveled for billions of years carries a sense of deep time. It connects moments separated by unimaginable spans, reminding you that the present moment rests gently on layers of the past. As awareness drifts, the idea of distance begins to blur. The space feels less empty and more like a quiet pathway filled with traveling light. Darkness becomes a background rather than an absence, giving these journeys room to unfold. There is nothing you need to remember about wavelengths or motion. The science works quietly beneath the surface, explaining how light carries energy and information without interfering with rest. You can let the explanation fade, keeping only the feeling of slow travel. Light never gets tired of moving. It does not need rest, yet it brings rest to those who imagine its journey. This steady motion, unchanged and reliable, can feel reassuring when your own thoughts slow and soften. As you settle deeper, you might imagine countless streams of ancient light passing gently around you, unnoticed, uninterrupted. Each one carries a story that does not need to be told aloud. Their presence alone is enough. This light has passed through the outskirts of galaxies, through wide cosmic spaces, and through ages of quiet expansion. It has never known urgency. It has never known pause. It simply continues, offering its calm persistence to the universe. If your thoughts begin to drift away now, that is perfectly natural. Light does not require attention. It continues whether it is observed or not. You can allow words to blur, letting the rhythm carry you. The night sky becomes a soft record of patience. Every glow is a reminder that time in the universe moves differently than it does in daily life. There is room to slow down. There is room to rest. As this sense of ancient travel settles, your body may relax further. Shoulders soften, breathing deepens. There is nothing you need to do to follow this process. Like light, your awareness can move effortlessly. The journey of light does not end when it is seen. It continues interacting, warming surfaces gently, triggering quiet responses, then moving on in new forms. Nothing about this process is abrupt. Everything flows. This understanding does not need to stay clear. It can fade into feeling. The universe is filled with calm movement that does not demand wakefulness. You are allowed to drift alongside it. As the last impressions of traveling light soften in your mind, curiosity begins to shift again, turning gently toward the way galaxies themselves move together, meeting and parting without haste. And as this ancient light continues its endless journey, your awareness drifts toward the slow, graceful ways galaxies approach one another, touching time itself without ever needing to hurry. You begin to notice that galaxies are not completely alone. Even across immense distances, they are aware of one another in quiet ways. Their meetings are not sudden events, not sharp impacts, but slow encounters that unfold like careful dances. Nothing collides with force. Everything approaches with patience. When galaxies move closer, it happens over spans of time so long they feel almost unreal. Millions of years pass as distance shortens gradually. From moment to moment, nothing seems to change. Yet slowly, gently, gravity begins to weave their paths together. These encounters do not resemble crashes. There is no shattering or destruction in the way the word might suggest. Space between stars is vast, allowing galaxies to pass through and around one another with grace. Stars rarely meet directly. Instead, their collective gravity reshapes motion quietly. As two galaxies draw nearer, their shapes begin to stretch. Arms lengthen, light drifts outward, and familiar forms soften. This stretching is not violent. It feels more like slow motion, as if the galaxies are reaching toward one another without hurry. You can imagine this like watching two clouds drift together in a calm sky. Their edges blur and change shape, yet nothing breaks apart abruptly. The process feels gentle, guided by conditions rather than intention. During these encounters, stars continue shining steadily. Their lives are not interrupted by the meeting. They follow new paths, adjusting gradually as gravity reshapes the larger structure around them. Stability remains, even as patterns evolve. Gas and dust respond more visibly, flowing and gathering in new ways. Long streams can form, arcing softly through space, glowing faintly with scattered light. These streams trace the history of the encounter, like ribbons marking a slow turn. You may notice how reassuring this feels. Even change on the largest scales does not arrive with urgency. The universe allows a time for adjustment. Nothing is rushed into its new place. As galaxies interact, their motion becomes more complex, yet it remains orderly. Paths curve, loops form, and structures respond calmly. Gravity acts like a guide rather than a command, shaping outcomes through steady influence. Some encounters result in galaxies merging gradually into a single, larger form. This blending takes ages, allowing everything involved to settle slowly. Shapes smooth out, motion redistributes. What emerges feels cohesive rather than chaotic. Other meetings are more distant. Galaxies pass near one another, exchange a gentle pull, then drift apart again. Even after separating, they carry the memory of the interaction in their altered paths and shapes. Nothing returns exactly to how it was, yet nothing feels disturbed. You can let this idea rest lightly. Change does not erase what came before. It builds quietly upon it. The universe layers its history without hurry. As you imagine these slow dances, your own thoughts may begin to slow further. There is nothing dramatic to follow, no moment of impact to anticipate, just gradual movement unfolding at its own pace. Galaxies often meet within groups, where many companions move together through space. Their interactions create a gentle choreography, with each galaxy responding to the presence of others over time. This shared motion feels communal rather than confrontational. Even when shapes become irregular or stretched, calm remains. The universe does not resist these changes. It allows form to adapt naturally, guided by gravity and time. If your attention drifts here, that is perfectly fine. These processes do not demand focus. They unfold whether they are observed or not. You can listen loosely, letting images form and fade. There is a quiet beauty in knowing that nothing in the universe needs to rush. Even the meeting of entire galaxies takes longer than anything the human mind is used to measuring. This removes pressure from the idea of change. Stars within interacting galaxies often continue their long lives unaffected. Their light remains steady, their internal balance unchanged. From their perspective, the meeting feels like a subtle shift in direction rather than a disruption. Gas clouds, however, may gather more densely during these interactions. This gathering can quietly encourage new stars to form, continuing the slow cycle of creation. Even here, beginnings arrive gently, without announcement. You might notice how this mirrors the way experiences meet and pass within your own mind. Thoughts approach, overlap briefly, then drift away, leaving subtle traces behind. Nothing needs to be forced. Everything resolves in time. Galaxies that merge do not disappear. They become something new, carrying the combined histories of their parts. Their light grows broader. Their structure becomes more settled. This outcome feels like completion rather than loss. As awareness continues to soften, the idea of separation becomes less sharp. Meeting and drifting apart are both part of the same quiet process. The universe does not favor one over the other. It allows both. You may find comfort in this rhythm. Things can come together without fear, and they can move on without harm. The universe models a form of balance that does not cling or resist. Gravity continues its gentle work throughout all of this. It does not demand outcomes. It simply shapes possibilities, allowing paths to curve naturally. This steady guidance ensures that even complex interactions remain calm. Your breathing may deepen again as you rest with this idea. There is nothing you need to track. The slow pace invites the body to settle further, releasing any lingering tension. The universe feels wide and patient here. Encounters unfold slowly enough to feel like rest rather than motion. Time stretches comfortably, leaving room for everything to adjust. As galaxies complete their slow dances, they continue onward, carrying the results quietly. There is no final moment, no conclusion, just ongoing movement shaped by long influence. If sleep begins to approach now, you are welcome to let it. These interactions do not require wakefulness. They continue regardless, steady and calm. The thought of galaxies meeting and drifting apart becomes less about change and more about continuity. Everything remains part of the same larger flow, moving together without urgency. As this idea settles, curiosity begins to turn inward again, toward the patterns of motion that repeat endlessly, guiding galaxies along steady paths through time. And as these slow dances fade gently into the background, your attention drifts toward the quiet rhythms that govern all motion, repeating calmly across the universe without ever needing to end. You settle into a rhythm now, one that feels steady and familiar, like breathing that no longer needs your attention. Across the universe, galaxies move in much the same way. Their motion is not random or restless. It follows quiet patterns, repeating gently across vast stretches of time. Every galaxy rotates, not quickly, not dramatically, but with a patience that makes movement feel like stillness. Stars follow long paths around shared centers, tracing arcs so wide that a single turn can take longer than entire histories on smaller worlds. This slow rotation gives galaxies their enduring sense of order. As you rest with this idea, motion becomes comforting rather than stimulating. Nothing accelerates suddenly. Nothing changes direction without warning. Everything moves as though it has all the time it could ever need. That sense of abundance can soften the mind, easing the need to track or anticipate. Within a galaxy, stars travel along paths shaped by gravity and balance. These paths are called orbits, but here they feel more like gentle routines. Each star knows where it belongs, not through awareness, but through relationship. Gravity guides without instruction, allowing motion to repeat calmly. Some stars move in wide, nearly circular paths, returning again and again to familiar regions of the galaxy. Others follow slightly elongated routes, drifting closer, then farther, without disruption. Even when paths differ, harmony remains. No orbit needs to match another for the system to stay calm. You may notice how this mirrors the body at rest. Breathing repeats, heartbeats follow one another, and balance is maintained without conscious effort. The galaxy demonstrates the same principle on a grand scale. Stability does not require attention. It arises naturally from steady patterns. Galactic rotation helps distribute matter evenly over time. Stars do not crowd into one place. Gas and dust spread gently, guided by motion that prevents collapse or chaos. This distribution allows galaxies to remain stable for ages, holding their shapes without strain. The rhythm of this motion feels slow enough to disappear into the background. You do not feel the galaxy turning, just as you do not feel the planet beneath you spinning. Smoothness removes sensation. Calm motion becomes invisible. As awareness drifts, you might imagine the galaxy as a vast, slow clock, not measuring minutes or hours, but marking time through repetition. Each rotation is a cycle completed without urgency. Each orbit is a promise kept quietly. Gravity plays its role without interruption. It pulls inward just enough to hold stars close, while allowing forward motion to continue. This balance prevents collapse and escape alike. Nothing falls inward suddenly. Nothing flies away unexpectedly. Everything remains gently bound. You do not need to picture exact paths or speeds. The feeling of order is enough. Motion here is predictable without being rigid. It adapts slowly when needed, responding to changes with patience rather than resistance. Over very long times, galaxies can change their pace slightly. Interactions, internal shifts, and gradual redistribution of mass can alter motion. Yet even these adjustments unfold slowly, allowing the system to remain calm throughout the process. This long-term stability is one of the universe's quiet achievements. Galaxies persist, not because they are unchanging, but because they change gently. They absorb variation without losing balance. As you breathe, you may feel how easily this idea aligns with rest. Inhale, exhale, both arriving on time, both leaving without delay. There is no rush to complete the cycle. It simply continues. The calm order of galactic motion also creates predictability. Stars return to familiar regions again and again, allowing structures to endure. This predictability does not feel dull. It feels safe, like knowing the night will always return. Within this order, nothing competes for dominance. No star tries to outpace another. Each follows its own path, contributing to the overall harmony without effort or intention. If thoughts drift now, let them. The galaxy does not require focus to remain ordered. It continues whether it is observed or not. You are free to listen loosely, letting the words become part of the rhythm. The universe shows that motion does not need excitement to be meaningful. Repetition itself can be calming. Patterns can soothe rather than bore. This understanding allows the mind to release its need for novelty. Even at the edges of galaxies, where stars move more slowly, order remains. Paths stretch wider, time lengthens, and motion becomes even more subtle. Nothing breaks away suddenly. The galaxy holds its farthest reaches with the same quiet care. You might imagine yourself floating within this motion, and not moving relative to anything, simply carried along. There is no sensation of speed, only continuity. This continuity can feel deeply reassuring. The calm order you sense here has existed for a very long time. Long before any awareness, stars were already tracing these paths. Long after this moment, they will continue, unchanged by brief interruptions. This endurance does not feel heavy. It feels light, effortless, sustained by balance rather than force. The universe does not struggle to remain ordered. It simply is. As your body rests more deeply, the rhythm of galactic motion can merge with your own. Breathing slows, muscles release, thought softens. There is nothing you need to adjust. Galaxies demonstrate that stability is not static. It is dynamic, alive, repeating gently through time. This dynamic calm allows everything to exist without friction. You can allow this idea to fade into feeling. The science does not need to remain clear. The sense of steady movement is enough to rest with. Even when galaxies interact or evolve, this underlying order persists. Motion adapts, paths shift, yet rhythm remains. The universe favors continuity over disruption. As awareness continues to soften, the idea of motion becomes less distinct. It blends into background comfort, like a heartbeat heard faintly from far away. There is no final destination in this movement, no endpoint to reach. Motion exists for its own sake, repeating calmly without conclusion. You are welcome to drift now, letting the order hold you. Nothing needs your attention. Everything continues. As this steady rhythm settles into the background, curiosity begins to loosen its grip, making space for deeper rest and quieter awareness. And as these slow, repeating motions continue without effort, your attention drifts toward the unseen structures that support them, quietly holding the universe together in the dark. You arrive now at something you cannot see, yet feel through its quiet influence. Dark matter does not glow or shine. It does not scatter light or announce itself. And still, it is there, woven gently through galaxies, holding them together with calm consistency. This unseen presence is not mysterious in a frightening way. It is simply subtle, patient, and steady. Dark matter reveals itself through what it does, rather than how it looks. Stars move as they do, because something unseen guides their paths. Galaxies rotate with a steadiness that visible matter alone cannot explain. This extra support is not dramatic. It is quiet, like a structure you never notice because it works so well. As you rest with this idea, dark matter begins to feel less like an unknown and more like a background presence. It surrounds galaxies in wide halos, extending far beyond the light of stars. These halos do not press inward or pull sharply. They cradle galaxies gently, allowing them to remain whole as they turn slowly through space. You can imagine dark matter as a soft framework, invisible but dependable. It does not interfere with light. It does not block or distort what you see. Instead, it shapes motion quietly, giving galaxies the stability they need to exist over long spans of time. Without this unseen support, stars would drift away from their galaxies more easily. Rotation would not remain as smooth. Structures would loosen. Dark matter provides balance without intrusion, strength without weight. It holds without touching. This idea can feel comforting. Support does not always need to be visible to be real. Some of the most important things work quietly in the background, asking for no attention. Dark matter does not clump into stars or planets. It does not form clouds or glow with heat. It moves differently, responding to gravity without interacting with light. This difference allows it to remain hidden, present everywhere, yet noticed only through its effects. As you imagine galaxies turning within these invisible halos, motion feels even calmer. There is no struggle to stay together. Paths remain smooth. Rotation continues without strain. The galaxy feels supported from all sides. You do not need to understand the nature of dark matter in detail tonight. The science continues to explore what it is made of, but its role is already clear. It helps galaxies remain stable. It contributes to the calm order you have been resting with throughout this journey. Dark matter does not rush. It does not gather suddenly. It has been present since early in the universe, spreading gradually and shaping structure over immense time. Its influence unfolds slowly, like everything else you have encountered. You may notice how easily this fits the mood of rest. Something unseen can be reliable. Something quiet can be powerful. The universe does not depend only on what can be seen. As your breathing remains slow and easy, you can let this idea settle into feeling rather than explanation. Dark matter becomes a sense of support beneath motion, like a gentle current beneath calm water. Galaxies embedded in dark matter, halos move as though cushioned. Even interactions between galaxies unfold more gently because of this unseen mass. It shapes the way galaxies meet, merge, and drift apart, smoothing transitions over time. There is nothing threatening about this presence. It does not pull attention. It does not create noise. It simply remains, allowing visible matter to behave in orderly ways. You might think of dark matter as the quiet reason things stay together. It does not claim credit. It does not shine. It just works, continuously and calmly. This can feel reassuring on a personal level. Not everything that supports you needs to be visible or acknowledged. Some support exists quietly, doing its work without demand. And dark matter also fills the space between galaxies, forming large-scale patterns that guide how matter gathers. These patterns are vast and slow, stretching across cosmic distances. They do not change quickly. They provide a long-term framework for structure. As awareness softens, you can allow this unseen presence to fade into the background, just as it does in the universe itself. You do not need to focus on it for it to remain effective. The science behind dark matter continues quietly, much like the phenomenon itself. Observations accumulate slowly. Understanding deepens over time. There is no rush to know everything at once. You are allowed to rest with uncertainty here. Not knowing exactly what something is does not make it unsettling. It can make it gentle, open, and calm. Dark matter shows that the universe includes layers beyond immediate perception. Some layers are felt rather than seen. This adds depth without disturbance. As your thoughts drift, you might notice how the idea of an unseen support mirrors the feeling of rest itself. Sleep often arrives without being watched. Calm settles without announcement. The galaxies continue turning within their halos, supported evenly from all directions. Nothing tips or tilts suddenly. Balance remains. You do not need to imagine shapes or particles. The feeling of quiet structure is enough. Dark matter becomes a sense of steadiness beneath everything you have explored so far. This steadiness allows galaxies to exist as long-lasting systems. It contributes to the slow rhythms, the calm motion, the gentle order that has guided this journey. As you breathe, you may feel held in a similar way. There is nothing you need to do to be supported. Support is already present. Dark matter does not care whether it is understood. It does not require belief or attention. It continues its quiet work regardless. The universe feels deeper here, layered with things that operate gently behind the scenes. This depth does not create complexity that needs to be solved. It creates comfort. As awareness continues to soften, curiosity begins to shift again. Beyond this unseen support lie the places where galaxies gather together, forming larger communities shaped by gravity and time. And as this quiet, unseen presence continues to hold everything together, your attention drifts toward the gentle neighborhoods galaxies form, resting together across the vastness of space. You begin to sense that galaxies rarely exist entirely on their own. Across the universe, they gather quietly, forming loose neighborhoods shaped by gravity and time. These gatherings are not crowded or noisy. They feel calm and spacious, like distant homes glowing softly at night, each one aware of the others without needing to speak. Galaxy clusters form when many galaxies drift together over immense periods. Nothing summons them suddenly. There is no signal or command. They simply respond to gentle attraction, easing closer over ages until their shared presence becomes a quiet community. Within a cluster, galaxies maintain generous distances. Space remains wide and open, allowing light to move freely between them. This separation gives the cluster its peaceful feeling. Nothing presses in. Nothing feels confined. Each galaxy keeps its identity while belonging to something larger. You can imagine these neighborhoods as vast gatherings where everyone moves slowly and politely. Paths curve gradually. Motion is shared but unhurried. Even when galaxies influence one another, they do so with patience rather than urgency. Clusters can contain dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of galaxies. Despite this number, they never feel busy. The scale is so large that activity dissolves into calm. From a distance, the entire cluster appears as a soft concentration of light, held together by unseen support. Dark matter plays its quiet role here as well, shaping clusters from the inside. It forms a broad framework that helps galaxies remain bound as a group. This support does not interfere with movement. It simply provides stability, allowing clusters to endure for very long times. Gas fills the space between galaxies within clusters, drifting thinly and quietly. This gas is extremely diffuse, almost imperceptible, yet it carries warmth and energy. It does not disrupt rest. It adds to the sense that space itself is gently alive. As you rest with this idea, clusters begin to feel less like structures and more like environments. They are places where galaxies share a long journey, moving together through the universe without needing coordination. Some clusters grow slowly as more galaxies drift inward. Others remain relatively unchanged for ages. In both cases, the process feels unhurried. Growth here does not feel like expansion, it feels like settling. You may notice how naturally this mirrors the feeling of rest. Thoughts gather loosely. Awareness widens. Nothing needs to be focused sharply. Presence is shared rather than isolated. Within clusters, galaxies can influence one another gently. Paths adjust slightly. Shapes evolve over long periods. Yet, most of the time, galaxies simply coexist, glowing quietly in one another's company. Light travels easily across these neighborhoods. When you imagine looking out from one galaxy toward another, the view would feel calm and distant, like seeing a window lit far away across a quiet landscape. Clusters also drift together into even larger structures, forming long chains and vast groupings across space. These patterns are immense and slow, stretching farther than the mind needs to follow. Even here, nothing rushes. As awareness softens, you can allow the idea of connection to settle without effort. Belonging does not require closeness. Galaxies remain part of a community even when separated by enormous distances. There is a quiet reassurance in knowing that the universe organizes itself gently. Communities form without conflict. Structure emerges without noise. Everything finds its place through time rather than force. If your thoughts begin to wander now, that is welcome. These neighborhoods do not require observation. They exist calmly, whether they are imagined or not. Clusters hold memories of long motion. The positions of galaxies reflect histories of gradual movement, slow gathering, and gentle influence. Nothing about this history feels abrupt. It is layered softly across time. You might imagine drifting through such a neighborhood, not moving from place to place, but simply resting within the shared stillness. There is no destination. No direction matters more than another. Even the largest clusters feel balanced. Gravity holds them together without strain. Motion remains orderly, repeating calmly over ages. This balance allows the entire structure to persist. The universe here feels social in the quietest possible way. Presence is shared without interaction. Light is offered without demand. Each galaxy contributes simply by being there. As breathing remains slow, your body may respond to this sense of community. Rest deepens when isolation fades. You are allowed to feel held within something larger without needing to engage. Clusters remind us that connection does not require activity. Sometimes it is enough to exist side by side, moving gently through time together. Nothing here seeks attention. Nothing competes. The universe models cooperation without awareness, balance without intention. As the mind continues to soften, the boundaries between individual galaxies feel less important. What matters more is the shared rhythm that holds them all. Even when clusters change over time, the process remains gentle. Galaxies may drift slightly closer or farther apart, but the overall calm persists. Adjustment does not break harmony. You do not need to remember how clusters form or what they contain. The feeling of quiet togetherness is enough. The science supports that feeling quietly, without interrupting rest. As awareness drifts further, the idea of neighborhoods becomes broader still. Beyond clusters lie even larger patterns, shaped by time and gravity on scales too calm to demand attention. You are free to let this image blur now. Lights in the distance soften. Boundaries fade. Presence remains. The universe feels less like a collection of separate things and more like a gentle arrangement where everything belongs somewhere without effort. As this sense of quiet community settles in, curiosity begins to loosen again, turning toward the way time itself flows through galaxies, shaping them slowly from within. And as these calm cosmic neighborhoods glow softly together, your attention drifts toward the long, patient passage of time that moves through them all, leaving gentle traces behind. You begin to feel time differently now. Inside galaxies, time does not rush forward in short steps. It stretches, relaxes, and unfolds so slowly that urgency fades away. Moments are no longer counted. They are absorbed into long continuities where change happens gently, almost invisibly. A galaxy carries many layers of time within it. Some stars have shone steadily for ages beyond easy imagining. Others are younger, still settling into their long lives. All of them move together through time without awareness, guided by balance rather than clocks. This shared passage gives galaxies their quiet, settled feeling. When you think about time here, it does not feel heavy. It does not press forward. Instead, it feels wide and open, like a calm landscape where nothing is pushing you onward. The universe does not hurry itself. It allows each stage to linger as long as it needs. Inside a galaxy, change is always happening, yet it rarely feels sudden. Stars age gradually. Gas drifts slowly. Shapes evolve across spans so long they feel like stillness. Even dramatic events, when seen from this scale, become part of a smooth flow rather than sharp interruptions. As you rest with this idea, your own sense of time may begin to soften. Minutes lose their edges. The need to track progress dissolves. There is nothing you need to get to, nothing you need to finish. Galaxies preserve the past quietly. Their structures reflect long histories of motion, interaction, and settling. Spiral arms trace patterns shaped by countless rotations. Rounded forms carry memories of gradual blending. Nothing here forgets quickly, yet nothing clings tightly either. Light itself carries time within it. The glow you imagine from distant stars began its journey long ago, traveling patiently through space. When it reaches anywhere at all, it brings the calm of its long passage with it. Seeing becomes a form of looking into the past without effort. You may notice how comforting this feels. The present moment is not isolated. It rests gently on layers of what has already happened. Time inside galaxies does not erase. It accumulates softly. Stars within a galaxy experience time differently depending on their paths. Some move through dense regions where interactions shape their journeys. Others travel quietly through open space, changing little for long periods, yet all remain part of the same slow rhythm. This rhythm does not demand attention. It continues whether it is noticed or not. You can allow the idea of time to drift into the background, becoming a feeling rather than a concept. Galaxies also show that patience is natural. Nothing in them seems rushed toward an outcome. There is no final state they must reach quickly. They simply continue, adapting slowly to new conditions as they arise. As awareness settles, you may feel how easy it is to release urgency. Time here does not measure success or failure. It simply allows existence. That allowance can feel deeply restful. Even the longest processes inside galaxies unfold without tension. Stars form quietly, shine steadily, and eventually fade, returning material to the wider system. This cycle does not hurry. It does not resist. It moves with calm acceptance. You can let this understanding rest lightly. There is no need to remember sequences or stages. The feeling of slow continuity is enough. The science supports this feeling quietly, without interrupting rest. Time inside galaxies also smooths rough edges. Over ages, sharp structures soften. Irregularities blend. Motion settles into balance. This smoothing creates the gentle forms you have been imagining throughout this journey. If your thoughts wander now, that is natural. Time here encourages drifting rather than focus. You are allowed to let awareness loosen, trusting that nothing important will be missed. Galaxies carry on through eras that make individual moments feel small, yet not insignificant. Each moment exists fully, even as it passes into the larger flow. This balance allows presence without pressure. As breathing remains slow and easy, the body may mirror this sense of extended time. Muscles relax, thoughts stretch out. There is no need to hurry towards sleep. Sleep will arrive when it is ready. Time inside galaxies also teaches that waiting is not empty. Long periods of seeming stillness often hold subtle change beneath the surface. Patience allows these changes to emerge naturally. You may imagine drifting alongside a galaxy, not moving faster or slower than it, simply sharing its pace. There is no sensation of passing time, only continuity. This continuity can feel like deep rest. Nothing in a galaxy counts the passing of moments. There are no markers or deadlines. Motion repeats calmly. Patterns endure. Change remains gentle. As this idea settles, the human habit of measuring time begins to loosen. You do not need to know how long you have been listening. You do not need to know what comes next. The present moment is enough. Galaxies exist within time, but they are not controlled by it. They shape time through motion and light, stretching it into long, calm arcs. This shaping allows everything to feel slower, steadier, more forgiving. You can allow yourself to rest inside this expanded sense of time. There is nothing to catch up on, nothing to fall behind. Everything is already moving at exactly the pace it needs. Even when galaxies change through interactions or internal shifts, time cushions those changes. Nothing snaps, nothing breaks abruptly. Adjustment unfolds gently, giving every part room to settle. As awareness continues to soften, the idea of time becomes less important. It fades into the background, like a distant hum that no longer needs attention. The universe does not rush its stories. It allows them to take as long as they take. This permission extends to you now. You are allowed to take your time resting. Galaxies have existed through countless quiet moments like this one, where nothing needed to happen. They will continue through many more. This continuity offers reassurance. If sleep begins to approach, you can welcome it without concern for timing. A time inside galaxies does not demand wakefulness. It accepts rest as part of its flow. As the sense of long, gentle time settles fully, curiosity begins to drift toward the closing of this journey, toward how rest itself fits naturally into a universe that never rushes. And as time continues to flow softly through galaxies without urgency, your awareness drifts toward the quiet rest that exists at the heart of all long journeys. You drift outward once more, not away from anything, but into a wider sense of belonging. After moving through galaxies, time, and quiet forces, the universe opens gently around you. It feels less like a place to explore and more like a space to rest within. Nothing here asks for attention. Nothing needs to be understood. The universe does not feel distant now. It feels close, surrounding you softly, the way night surrounds a quiet room. Stars, galaxies, and the slow movement between them become part of a calm background, steady and reassuring. You are not observing from outside. You are already inside this vast calm. Everything you have listened to continues without pause. Galaxies turn slowly. Light travels patiently. Time stretches without urgency. None of this depends on your awareness. The universe does not wait for you to be awake. It does not mind if you drift. As you rest with this idea, learning begins to loosen its grip. Facts soften into impressions. Details blur into feeling. This is not forgetting. It is settling. Knowledge does not disappear. It simply becomes quiet, like a thought that no longer needs to speak. You may notice your body responding first. Breathing slows naturally. Shoulders sink a little deeper. Muscles release without instruction. There is nothing you need to do to encourage this. The body recognizes safety when it feels it. The universe offers that same sense of safety through its steadiness. Even across immense distances and long times, patterns remain calm. Motion repeats. Balance holds. Nothing sudden interrupts the flow. This consistency allows rest to feel natural rather than earned. You are allowed to stop following ideas now. You do not need to imagine galaxies clearly. You do not need to picture motion or light. You can let words pass through awareness without holding onto them. They can become sound, then fade. Resting within the universe does not mean stopping. It means being carried. Just as galaxies are carried by gravity and time, you are carried by the quiet processes of your body and mind. There is no effort involved. The universe does not judge whether you understand it. It does not measure attention. It simply exists, calm and continuous. You are welcome within it, whether you listen closely or drift completely. As this sense of inclusion deepens, boundaries soften. The idea of being separate from what you have been hearing fades gently. The universe is not something happening elsewhere. It is the context you are already part of. You might imagine the universe as a slow, steady breath, expanding and settling without urgency. This breath has no beginning and no end that you need to track. It simply continues. You can allow your own breathing to follow its lead. There is nothing left to solve, nothing left to reach. The journey does not end because it never needed a destination. It was always about arriving at this quiet sense of rest. Thoughts may still appear. That is natural. They can drift through like distant lights, appearing briefly before fading back into the dark. You do not need to follow them. They will move on in their own time. The universe does not mind repetition. It does not grow tired of the same motions. Orbits repeat. Light continues traveling. Time flows steadily. This repetition creates comfort rather than boredom. You can let this repetition carry you now. The familiar rhythm of breathing, the steady presence of the night, the quiet continuation of everything beyond your awareness. Rest here is not an absence of activity. It is a different mode of being. The universe demonstrates this constantly. Even in stillness, motion continues gently. Even in darkness, light travels quietly. You are allowed to rest in the same way. Awareness can soften without disappearing. Sleep can arrive without being forced. Nothing needs to change for that to happen. If you are still awake, that is perfectly fine. The universe does not require sleep. It simply allows it. You can listen without listening, hear without understanding, rest without effort. This is the final reminder, though it does not need to be remembered. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to hold in mind. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to drift. The universe continues holding everything together quietly. Galaxies remain bound. Motion stays balanced. Time flows evenly. You are part of this same calm system. As learning fades fully into comfort, comfort becomes enough. Curiosity loosens. Attention widens, then gently dims. The universe does not disappear when awareness fades. It remains steady and patient. You may feel as though you are floating or sinking or simply staying where you are. All of these are fine. Sensations do not need to be named. They can pass without notice. The night feels larger now, but also more intimate. The same universe that holds distant galaxies also holds this quiet moment. Nothing separates the two. You are safe to rest here. The universe does not change suddenly. It does not demand response. It continues at its own pace, which is slow enough to hold sleep gently. As the last impressions of this journey soften, you may no longer need words. Silence can take over naturally. Awareness can thin, then fade. The universe remains awake, so you do not have to be. And as everything continues calmly without needing your attention, you rest quietly within the universe, carried gently into whatever stillness comes next. As this journey gently comes to a close, notice how wide and still the world feels. So many lives unfolding quietly, whether we see them or not. You don't need to keep their names or stories. They've already done their work. If you enjoy these slow explorations, you can support the channel in any small way that feels natural, so others can find this calm too. But right now, there is nothing to decide and nowhere to go. Let your thoughts soften, your muscles relax, and the night carry you onward, one peaceful breath at a time.